So I want to talk a little bit about what's called the paradox of distress, because what's going on underneath anxiety is probably a collection of feelings that feel pretty awful. We have an innate need to have a felt response to experiences as human beings. We are designed to have for experiences to have an emotional impact on us, which is kind of why when we go to the cinema and we don't feel moved by the film, we end up feeling a bit disappointed, because we were hoping for the film to have an emotional impact on us. And if it doesn't, Now, if we could only choose to have positive experiences and experiences that we would like to have happen to us, that would be great. But we're also hardwired to produce a felt experience, an emotionally felt experience, to painful experiences that happen to us as well. And oftentimes when anxiety is at play, the difficult emotional experience, it feels really overwhelming. And that in and of itself is what leads to the process of anxiety, because anxiety on some level is about how to solve the problem of never having to feel those feelings again, because they are distressing. That's part of what anxiety's job is. And so then this is what brings us full circle to this thing called the paradox of distress, which means that I have this experience of anxiety, which is partially made up of intrusive thoughts, which are frequent and intense. And I don't want to feel distressed, but I am left with this anxiety, with the frequency and intensity of these intrusive thoughts, the what if questions. So there was this study done about people trying to avoid the distressing feelings. And what they found was that when people try to avoid these distressing feelings, their frequency and their intensity go up. Like, quality of life gets worse when we try to avoid these feelings. Whereas actually, if we, in a manageable and controllable way, start to dip our toe in the water, I'm not suggesting the ice bucket challenge, I am suggesting dipping your toe in the water and slowly getting used to this, then the frequency and intensity of these overly intrusive thoughts decreases. It's almost like we've decided that feeling the feelings is too much, therefore I'm going to think the thoughts. And the thinking the thoughts is anxiety, whereas the feeling the feelings would be processing that painful experience that happened to us once upon a time. And I kind of get that, because that's a defense to being overwhelmed. And I fundamentally believe as a psychotherapist that every single person have a right to their defenses, because they were really important to them when they set them up. They were about survival. And so what I'm offering is additional resources to cope with the original problem. Not just have you got older and wiser and more mature, but I'm around here to help as well with my experience and expertise and empathy as an additional resource to help you to feel these feelings and process them. And by doing so, the paradox is that by feeling the feelings that are painful, the anxiety goes away. And that's why it's called the paradox of distress. So I really understand the sentiment that says, but if I engage in this process, I might feel stuff I don't want to feel. And I go, yeah, I think you might. But I also think if we find a way of doing that in a manageable way, that might be the very thing that provides you with the solution that you're looking for.